For today, I'd like to ask Mr. Royce to say a little prayer, and then after, lead us in pledge.
Please stand. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the parents, students, teachers, the sports staff, and administrators of our wonderful school system. We ask you that you allow the board tonight to make all the decisions that we need to make with the students as priority. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Royce. Just a few housekeeping notes. If you want to, I'm speaking to the board. If you want to say or ask any questions, be sure to speak into your mic so everyone can hear, and so everyone can hear that out there listening on Facebook Live. If you would, please call roll.
Okay. Mr. Caruso?
Here.
Mr. Daniel?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Dryden?
Here.
Mr. Hartsfield?
Here.
Ms. Jacobs? Mr. Mabry?
Here.
Mr. Neidert?
Here.
Mr. Rochelle?
Here.
8 present.
Thank you, and that 8 out of 9 is have a quorum. Our first on the agenda tonight is a recognition, and that would be for Mr. Hartsfield for retired educator. Excuse me.
Thank you.
I echo his word. It's good to see everybody out here tonight. It's an honor to get to recognize this next person, but before I bring her up here, I want to say a few things about her and tell you some things about her. The one I'm honoring with Ethel Young Benson Retired Educator Award is Jan Mcmaster. Jan graduated from UNA in 1978 with a degree in elementary education. She began her teaching career in the fall of '78 at Summertown Elementary School. She taught there for 7 years. Later, she transferred to New Prospect Elementary and remained there her entire teaching career, the rest of her career. She taught the first grade there for 23 years. So after 30 years, she retired. I talked to her leader out there had been the principal, Mr. Dryden, and I said, I need you to tell me some things about Jan. What kind of teacher was she? And he shared this with me. He said that Jan was a very, very punctual teacher, that she was a well-prepared for her day of teaching. She was very sensitive to her students' needs and what they were supposed to be learning at their grade level. He also said she was a very firm teacher, but a very fair teacher. Jan was truly a positive influence on the kids she taught in our Lawrence County school system. We're very fortunate to have had a teacher like Jan as an employee of Lawrence County school system. She loved kids, she loved teachers, and again, she affected many kids in a very positive way when she taught. At this time, I would ask Jan to come up and receive this award. Thank you, Jan.
All right, you guys ready?
Thank you. Very well deserved. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda tonight, recognition is the student, and we have E.O. Kaufman Middle School and Summertown High School.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to speak tonight. When E.O. Kaufman faculty and staff set out to pick our student for recognition tonight, we set out to recognize what we consider to be a model student. And as most of you probably could understand, the model student might be one student who might get overlooked for certain accolades because they're always doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're always on time. They're always doing their work. So our student that we've chosen to recognize tonight is Cte Department. And I apologize, Kaylee, on the front end. I practiced this name all day, and I knew I would not pronounce it correctly tonight. Just want to talk to you a little bit about Kaylee. Talk to you about some of the things our teachers have described her as. Is that Kaylee is a joy to have in class. She works hard. She has a positive attitude every day. She shows compassion to everyone. Kaylee exceeds her expectations in every way as a student. She's a true reflection of what an EOC Panther should be. And that's her math teacher, Miss Robertson. Miss Gray, her social studies teacher. Kaylee is the epitome of the proverbial A student. She works extremely hard to do well in her academic classes. She's conscientious of our behavioral expectations. Her behavior is always impeccable. She never shirks her responsibilities. She always participates in class discussions and always assists those around her when necessary. Katie's a sweet young lady. She has a soft demeanor, which sometimes causes her to miss out on accolades that she deserves. Miss Grace, she says, Kaylee's a perfect choice to spotlight down at the board meeting, and she's always a blessing to have in class. Mr. Landtroop, her science teacher, said Kaylee is intelligent, polite, respectful, well-liked by her classmate, and she has a great work ethic. Miss Hammond, her ELA, says she's well-behaved, well-mannered, conscientious. She's a sweet disposition, very intelligent, always displays a positive attitude every day, and always does her best. She's top-notch, cream of the crop. That's what Miss Hammond says. So Kaylee, tonight, on behalf of the faculty and staff of E.O. Kaufman Middle School, we want to take the opportunity to recognize you and to say thank you for being who you are. We're proud of you, and congratulations. So Kaylee.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here tonight to present our Student Recognition of the Month from Summertown High School. When I was given that task, sometimes those things can be daunting to choose one person out of 600 plus students. But one student came to my mind initially and frequently, and that's because of the personality traits that he has. So our Student of the Month tonight is Ryan Long. He's a junior at Summertown High School. His personality trait that sticks out to me is his servant personality. He served Summertown High School in so many capacities, and I want to tell you quickly just a little story. Early in the year, you know, everybody's ambitious to get to school and get the day going, and so this was in August of some point this year. I'm arriving to school about 6:30, 6:45, and there's one vehicle in the parking lot, and I knew whose vehicle it was. It was Ryan Long, and so I saw him either that day or the day after somewhat, and I kind of jokingly told Ryan, I said, Ryan, you don't have to be at school that early. You know, you can take your time to get to school. But what I found out was he was arriving at school early to help. He was helping our ag teacher with multiple items that she needed done, and you know, that's Ryan. Ryan has a heart of a servant, and he's a junior at Summertown High School, and several of us talk frequently about the day Ryan leaves campus, we're going to have a missing component. And so it's my honor to recognize him. I appreciate who he is and how he represents Summertown High School. So Ryan Long, congratulations.
Hey, while the family's coming up, let me add to that, if anybody's ever wondered what a true sports manager is supposed to look like and supposed to do, come to Summertown High School basketball game and you'll find out by watching Ryan Long of what a manager's supposed to do.
Woohoo! Yay!
Congratulations to all the students. I'm so happy that we have brought back this recognition for our students. And to tell you the truth, without our students, none of us will be here. And it shows every month and every week the outstanding effort that our teachers put in, and it shows for from our students. So on behalf of myself and the board, congratulations to these students, and we got many more outstanding students out there. That's I wish we can recognize all of them, but we'd have to be here on every day for every month. The next recognition is a Lego Robotics recognition.
Hello, and thank you for having us today. Throughout the past 2 years, the Atkins administration has implemented a STEM for All program, and he did it through the Cte Department. Last year, we reached every pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade classroom through providing training and materials to every student and every teacher throughout the county. We also provided robotics kits and sponsored over 20 competitive robotics teams in grades 4 through 8 in 5 out of the 9 elementary and middle schools, reaching over 150 kids directly. Well, this year, I am proud to report that Loretto Telecom, DRM, In Motion, and the Lawrence Utility Systems has partnershipped with us, and every middle school and every elementary school and middle school in the district has at least one competitive robotics team. And on December 4th, CTE STEM and our community partners sponsored the Stillhouse Hollow robotics event at the Lawrence County High School. And we had over 250 kids participate in that particular event. Tonight, I'm thrilled to present the 5 first place winners from that event. And the way we would like to do this is have each team come in, and we'll acknowledge them and give them their first place trophy. These are 5 different categories, so I'll announce those categories as they each come in. Thank you.
Which team first?
Lego My Ego.
Lego My Ego.
This is, thank you for your patience.
Did you go to? Yeah. Cool. I saw some pictures on it. It was great. I wish they had advertised
This is quite a rigorous competition, may I add, while we're getting the teams in. They go through robotics missions on a table. They have 2.5 minutes to complete up to 18. They have an innovative research project that they participate in that must include research, innovation, and deal with experts from our community, as well as an executive summary through robotics design competition area, and then core values is the fifth that we'll talk about tonight. Well, to begin with, we have Lego My Ego from Leoma. I am so proud of Chris Simpson and his team. They came in first for robot design, and his team members are Jacob Stutz, Micah Ridgway, Jacob Kaiser, Hattie Cozart, Hunter Clark, Ty Holt, Simon Springer, Jack White, Jackson Giles, and Lucy Elliott. Congratulations. And this is your cake because you earned it. That is for sure.
All right, guys, if y'all would, I'm gonna pull this back in. I'm gonna make a. Okay. Mr. Atkins, do you want to get in the picture with them? Congrats. Good job. First year, first place. It's really good. All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Congrats.
Great job, guys. Thank you very much. Awesome, awesome.
Rockin' Robot. Rockin' Robot. This next team has competed for 2 years. This is their second year. Last year, they were second place in overall championship for our state competition. They did a wonderful job. They were called the Rookie Rockin' Robots, but this year, they have come so far. I'm so proud to say that the Rockin' Robots are from Etheridge Elementary. They've taken first place on the game board, which is a 2.5-minute mission extravaganza, and they scored the highest. Amanda Gist is their coach, and the Rockin' Robots consist of Tucker Hammond, Dirks Boyd, Carter Gist, Grant Miller, Marcus Fitzgerald, Jaylee Grooms, Rowan Bryant, and Maggie Mcmasters. Congratulations.
Which one of you guys came up with the backings of your shirts? That's awesome. That's awesome. Good job, good job.
We had to represent Etheridge, didn't we?
There you go.
I love it. Okay, Rocket Robots. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Congrats.
Congratulations, guys.
Lego Rockets.
Thank you for complimenting their shirts. I'd like to add that every team throughout the district was sponsored by Loretto Telecom for all of their shirts. That was well over 250 kids and 250 shirts, so we really appreciate all their support. Our next team has really done an amazing job. So proud of them. This team took first place in a very challenging section. That's the section called the Innovative Project. That includes background research, reaching out to STEM professionals, being able to present your information and come up with ideas that have never been invented but yet could be patented. So I'm very proud to present first place Innovative Project to the Lego Rockets from David Crockett Elementary. Their coach is Carmen Kilburn, and their team is Elby Boast, Hudson Ray, Blade Lopp, Jonathan Kimbrell, Kaylee Schrader, Thatcher McDonald, Annalie Smith, Casey Rose, and Wyatt McCafferty. Good job.
Claudia's not here tonight. She's sick. So I'm okay, guys. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Good job, guys.
while we're waiting on the last team, I am so proud to say that not only did every elementary and middle school participate in this, your PVA school did as well. Your PVA school, through the leadership of Miss Patty Franks, had a first place team for core values. Their team's called the Scooby Snaps. The Scooby Snaps were not able to make it today as their coach is beginning labor. So, her name is Miss Brooke Lampright, and the Scooby Snaps took first place in core values, and that's Ava Lampright, Lillian Lampright, as well as Joseph Lampright, and they are watching, so yay! Congratulations, Scooby Snaps. I will give you a round of applause. And our last team here, oh, I just find so much joy in. Our competitions go from 4th grade to 8th grade, but this particular team took overall championship first place. That means in every category they placed first in, so they are overall champions. And why I have to say a little bit extra about this is a 4th grade team. They are our youngest team and also our first place team. So for first place overall championship goes to the Techno team, and their coach is Mr. Carter Henson. Their team is Tucker Bullock, Tate Moore, Cooper Barnett, Sam White, Josiah Emerson, Talon Hillhouse, and Riker James. Congratulations, gentlemen. Great job.
All right. You guys ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice.
Good job, guys. Thank you very much.
To close things off, I'd like to say thank you. The next steps for our teams will be to go to the state competition on February 12th, whereas these 5 teams, in addition to 10 more teams from Lawrence County, will be participating. I'm so proud to say that out of 46 teams that were invited to participate in the state competition for robotics, 15 belong to us. So I will look forward to giving you those results. Thank you for your time.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Once again, it just shows you the great response and great teachers in all facilities that taking part with these outstanding students. So congratulations to them and all the people that took forth into doing that. The next on the agenda is National School Board Week. It seems like this comes quicker and quicker every year because we appreciate all the gifts, all the candy, all the shirts, mugs, jackets that we get for this every year. But really, we do this on I'm speaking for myself. We do it for the love of you guys. It's. Some people say, well, it's hard work, you got hard decisions, but not really, because with the outstanding support, with outstanding teachers, outstanding supervisors, outstanding director, it just makes our jobs a lot easier. So on behalf of the board and myself, thank you very much, and I wish all schools wouldn't do this because I know it costs them money. So on behalf of myself and the school board, thank you very much. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Atkins?
Other than just thank you to each board member for your support of the things that we're doing in Lawrence County for our students, our faculty, our staff, and for this community. Without your leadership and vision, it would be difficult, but with working relationship that we have with you folks and the great work you're doing, good things are happening in Lawrence County. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Our next on the agenda, I'm going to move on item number 3 for item to consider, discuss, and action under the first item is A. I'm going to move that up and have the candidates for tenure be recognized and Are they here, or are you just going to call them names, or?
Now, we have, I believe all of the candidates
Okay.
are here.
I'm gonna move them up so they can go on and go about their business without sitting here for quite a time, so,
Are we going to have them just come forward? Or
yeah, that'll
rise?
work, we can do that.
Okay.
Are they on their way, or?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that'll work.
Yeah. If you'll just come forward when we call your name, maybe that'll make it a little bit easier for you, okay? Yeah, sorry about that.
I threw you for a loop there, but that's okay. You'll be many more loops on your career, so.
Just to speak to this, Mr. Chairman, principals are given a list of folks eligible for tenure, and of course, they have the opportunity to accept or decline. These folks have done outstanding work in the school system. Principals submit letters of support for them. These are high-performing educators doing a wonderful job in the school system, and we're very pleased that we're able to now officially call them tenured employees with the system, and they will continue the great work of moving our system forward and helping our students. So if you would please, when your name is called, if you'll come forward, just stand in the front. From David Crockett Elementary School, Chelsea Ellis. From the J.C. Barnett Center, Langdon Stanley. Lawrence County High School, Kayla Bowie. Lawrence County High School, Jill Harrison. Lawrenceburg Public, Samantha Keaton. New Prospect, Carrie Price. Summertown Elementary, Josh Runnels. Summertown High School, Elizabeth Taylor. And from our district, the lady you just heard about and heard from and the great work she does, our STEM coordinator, Anne-Marie Lampright. Mr. Chairman, I present these folks to you as candidates for tenure with the Lawrence County School System.
Congratulations, guys. I know how hard it is nowadays to be a tenure teacher, and y'all are doing an outstanding job. And I know how hard it is to continue being a tenure teacher. So keep up the good work, and I hope you be with us for 35 plus years. Thank you very much, guys. Oh, we can do.
Motion to approve tenure.
I got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Kind of late now. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, here we go, guys. 1, 2, 3. Congrats.
Moving on to item number 1, consent items. Items to be voted on as a group. Can I have a motion to approve A through E?
I move we approve A through E. I move we approve items 1A through 1E.
We got a motion to approve A through E. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, significance by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to report items on number 2. The first one is school reports. We'll start with Mr. Long with E.O. Kaufman.
Again, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to talk tonight and highlight some of the great things going on at E.O. Kaufman. As you guys are well aware, we're in the middle of a construction, which we'll talk a little bit about later, but right now I want to talk about the great job the faculty and staff are doing. As you remember, the year 2020, the school year 2020-2021 had many challenges, but E.O. Kaufman emerged from last school year overall with a grade of C, which I guess put us as average with the rest of the state of Tennessee, which in last year's climate was no small feat. I would like to remind the board or tell the board that Kaufman is no longer a TSI school because of last year's test scores. So we are off the improvement list for the state of Tennessee, and that's due to the hard work of the faculty and staff at E.O. Kaufman. You guys have, I think everybody has a paper in front of them. I don't want to bore you with reading it to you, but sort of look down that list, look down those scores, ELA, math, social studies, and science. Also remind the board last year's report cards, social studies and science were not included in the official rankings. It was primarily just ELA and math because of the social studies and science tests were a little too new. But as a combined school, we're looking at a 2 in ELA, 2 in math, a 2 in social studies, and a 3 in science. Not exactly where we want to be, but we're continuing to work hard with the curriculum that the board has generously purchased. The math and the ELA curriculums, teachers are getting down into that curriculum, and we're seeing some great things going on this school year. Also, if you look down at the next box of numbers, the on-track and mastered, I've got Kaufman compared to the rest of Lawrence County schools, and then also compared with the state. And if you'll look at those numbers, we're right there with the state and the system in most areas. Obviously, those numbers are a little low because of the COVID year, but we're proud of the advancements that we made and the teachers' hard work of getting off that improvement list. A couple of other academic notes that I'd like to bring to the attention of the board. For the first time at E.O. Kaufman, we're offering advanced classes in all 4 content areas, and we're also offering Algebra 1 on site for the first time in a while. That Algebra 1 class has 21 students in it, and those 21 students will be taking the high school EOC exam for Algebra 1 credit. So we're extremely proud of those 2 things, and as Ms. Lampright already addressed tonight, 6 of our LEGO Robotics teams will be competing at the state level in February next month. So a lot of great academic things going on at E.O. Kaufman. A couple of other things I'd like to highlight for you guys. We had the opportunity to expand some athletic offerings. For the first time, Kaufman had a golf team, and in their first year of existence, they won the conference tournament championship. So we're extremely proud of that. 15 students participated on the golf team. Also, we were also able to offer a cross-country team. For the first time, that cross-country team qualified for the state tournament in their first year, and that cross-country team had 21 students. For the most part, that golf and cross-country team are pulling students that really had not participated in any other athletic competition. So we're trying to get a little bit more trying to get more students involved by offering different things. For the first time also this year, we've been able to separate girls and boys soccer. Before this year, our soccer teams were co-ed, and when we talked to the female students, we had several that expressed an interest in soccer, but they didn't really want to play with the boys, so we separated those out. Girls soccer is in the fall, and during that season, we had 19 girls participating on the girls soccer team. Other athletic highlights, for the second year in a row, football team were the conference tournament conference champions, this year going undefeated. Also, as of tomorrow night, our basketball teams will also begin tournament play tomorrow night at David Crockett Elementary School. And I would also like to publicly thank David Crockett Elementary School and Lawrence County High School for allowing Kaufman to use their facilities for our athletic events this year. Due to construction, we were not able to have any kind of activities in the gym due to fire marshal regulations. So Ms. Renee Jackson and the faculty and staff at Crockett graciously allowed us to use their facilities for volleyball and basketball season this year, and we do appreciate them tremendously. Lawrence County High School also opened their doors up for us to have a couple of games over at Lawrence County High School, And coming later next month, Kaufman will be hosting our sectional tournaments at Lawrence County High School. So can't state how much we appreciate the faculties and staff of those two schools opening up their doors and allowing us to use their facilities while ours are being renovated. While we're speaking about construction, I will go ahead and tell you that I have some of the most beautiful concrete and concrete block you've ever seen. We finally have concrete and concrete block going up at Kaufman. That work is progressing, and I want to thank the board for their investment in Kaufman. A couple of other student and staff highlights I'd like to mention tonight. Don't know how much the board, if you start reading some of the research out there about the effects of COVID and the environment of COVID for the last year and a half, 2 years, the research coming out says that the students that are most affected by the environments of the last couple of years are middle school students. And I think if you talk to anybody, any faculty or staff member at E.O. Kaufman, we could have probably have told you that free of charge without a lot of research. We have a lot of students who are struggling socially, emotionally, and mentally, and we have sort of taken a position this year to try to help them with that. Part of that was the addition of some of the athletic programs that we've tried to expand, but we've also tried to expand some student offerings. Junior Beta Club, we've always had that club, but 4 of those members have qualified for the national convention. One of those members, Boone Gobble, for the first time in Lawrence County history, Boone was elected to a statewide office for Junior Beta, so we're extremely proud of the Junior Beta Club. But one of those new additions that we've offered this year to try to get students back involved in the school environment, we've started a student council back at Kaufman. We've got several members there. Those students have been planning activities and getting the students back involved. So we're extremely proud of those efforts and trying to get back to a normal school, normal school routine. We've also started a student pep group to try to get more students involved. And Student Council did the Panther Presents, which collected funds and helped 19 families over the Christmas holidays. FCA is continuing to grow strong with more than 100 students participating in those meetings every Friday morning. Of all the great things going on at E.O. Kaufman, it can't be done without the faculty and staff. They come to work, they go above and beyond. Last year with COVID, they came in early, stayed late. This year with construction and the limitations of construction, the faculty is continuing to come in early and doing what it takes to take care of our students. I cannot say enough things about the faculty and how great they've been to just do what's best for our students. That's about all I have. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Brett. I think you're doing an outstanding job. I've been on the board for quite a long time, and Kaufman has always been put on the back burner that, it's failing, the buildings dilapidating, we need to do new building and going forth, but I'm glad we're sinking some money into it, and just congratulate your staff. They're doing an awesome job with all the construction going on, and soon that school would be another outstanding school that we have in the city. And I always thought that when Mr. Mcmaster left and Mr. Richardson left, that was that school would go downhill. But needless to say, they have left, and it still continue to be an outstanding school. So congratulations, and you're doing a good job.
Hey, thank you. It's all a testament to the faculty and staff. They're fantastic.
I agree 100%.
Thank you.
Our next recognition is for Summertown High School, and that's Mr. Lane.
Thank you for the opportunity to come before you and give you a school report about Summertown High School. I've given you a copy of what I put together here. I tried to put myself in your shoes and kind of, since this is my first time to give a school report, and ask myself, what is the information that you as a board might want to know about Summertown High School? And so I don't plan to cover every topic in here or every piece, but I wanted to give you as much academic, athletic, and physical data on Summertown High School. So I'd like to start just by recognizing our school, our faculty, our staff, our students for the first component here of the overall school composite score. We were able to achieve a level 3 status, and as far back as I could go from the resources that I had touched base with, that had not happened since the 16-17 school year, as you can see in that report. So I'm excited that we are a level 3 school, and that takes a lot of work. There's a lot of different components that get factored into that score, and so I'm positive and trusting that that means we're moving in the right direction. Our graduation rate follows there. You can see that we're kind of staying steady with what we've been in the last 4 years on our graduation rate. After that, I get into showing you the growth scores. I believe there's 2 important components when you're thinking about academics and state testing, and to me, growth is a significant component of that, and that just kind of reiterates the growing and the learning within one school year of a measure that the students are doing. And so I think if you'll take the time to browse through these grade levels and the subjects, that you'll see we are trending in the right direction as far as that goes. We still have some areas of emphasis that we're trying to focus on, but I would reiterate with what Mr. Long says. I think you guys as a board and our central office staff, Mr. Atkins, the investment that you make into resources and curriculum cannot be understated. And so I've seen school systems, and I've been in a classroom before where you didn't have resources like we have here in Lawrence County. It makes a difference, and so I just want to thank you for that investment and encourage you to continue to invest in curriculum resources, because it makes a big difference when a teacher has the right resources in front of them. So thank you for that investment. Next, we go to the student achievement. I gave you some information there on the percentage of students who scored on track and mastered. That's the second component in my mind to figuring out how we're doing academically when it comes to state mandated tests. That's usually considered the achievement component. And so you can kind of compare there and contrast what we've been in the last 3 years. Obviously, the COVID year, the state didn't give us the data back. But we have some area of emphasis there. We also have some areas of celebration, and so we try to own our data at Summertown High School. I've been very vocal about that on campus. We're going to take our data and apply it to ourselves and reflect on it, and we're going to try to improve where we can improve and continue where we need to continue as far as success. The next piece there is the ACT data. It's been an area of emphasis for me personally since I got onto the campus of Summertown High School. The challenge with ACT is, number one, every student has to take it. It's a graduation requirement. And so you have students who mentally feel like it doesn't apply to their position. They don't need it, so to speak, after high school. That's a challenge. They have to take the test, and you want them to try to do their best on that exam. And right now, with the way the state has it set up, they get 2 free opportunities. They get one as a junior, and then they get another retake opportunity as a senior. And so my area of emphasis has been encouraging kids to continue to take the ACT, more than just those 2 attempts, because the data says the more they attempt it, the higher their score will increase. And so I give you some information there. So one of the things I'm most proud about of our ACT data is that total attempt column. I think we're increasing that significantly, and we're going to continue to try to increase that. We offer the ACT on what they call national test dates on our campus on Saturdays. That has been done before I got to Summertown. We've continued that, and we select as many dates as ACT will let us. So, we're just trying to give our kids an opportunity to take it as many times as they can. We've put some incentives in place. reimbursement for their fees if they increase their overall school composite by 1 point. If they increase it 3 or more points, we put them in a drawing for a $250 scholarship. We have some incentives on campus that we put in place, and so we're just trying to, incentivize a student who's willing to give their best effort on the ACT. After that, I give you some CLEP and AP information there. Those are pieces or components of our school where kids can earn college credits. And so we're excited about the success we've seen in the last 2 years through those 2 courses, English 3 and U.S. History. Following that is a class of 22, just an update on how our class is doing. We're proud of our FAFSA numbers. Ms. Hope Perry is on our campus, and she works very diligently to try to get our students ready for that next component after high school, and so she helps us with our FAFSA. We're at 80% completion. Our goal is 100%, and I feel confident that we're going to get there. Our Tennessee Promise application is 100%. We're proud of that. 84% of our seniors have applied to a community college, TCAT, or a 4-year school. That is a percentage point that I think is worthy of sharing. 89 of that 84% have been applied have been accepted. And so there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. Guidance counselors, Ms. Hope Perry, teachers. It takes a village to have a school be successful, and I think we have a lot of good people in place to get these numbers on this paper to show you. 4 of our students plan to go in the military. I support 100% our military, and I think we may be in a climate where that's not as pushed, and so I've tried to open the door to recruiters. Recruiters are welcome on our campus of any branch, and so we've had some recruiters take advantage of that opportunity and give our students that option to learn about what the military offers, and so I'm proud of those 4 students who have enlisted and plan to enroll into the military. Following that, we have a Cte department that I think is exceptional. They all have a club that they run out of their Cte departments, and so I kind of give you a rundown of what some of those clubs have done through our Cte department. They compete, they travel, they prepare, they spend a lot of time in those clubs to learn about different items, and so we're proud of our Cte accomplishments, and you can read through those as well. Athletics plays an integral role in school success. I believe that. I think Summertown High School is a very unique place when it comes to athletic success. The pride and the passion that's in that community and in that school system, I believe personally, is unmatched. Last year I remember I was at the tennis state tournament in the spring, and a man that I've known for a long time involved in TSSAA comes up, and we're chit-chatting while we're watching our team play in a tennis state tournament. And I expressed to him that every female sport last year in the school year competed at the state championship level. And he was kind of taken back by that. He knew Summertown had success, and he followed up with me and felt like, based on his research, that had only happened 3 times in the history of TSSAA. And so, that's a unique component of Summertown and the success we had just in 1 year last year. But as you all know, the athletics in Lawrence County is unparalleled. And so we're proud of our accomplishments in our athletic programs. Our coaches work really hard, our athletes work really hard, and our community is unbelievable in the support that they give our athletic programs. Finally, I want to just share with you some pieces of our building project. I thank you for your investment into Summertown High School for the building project. We do not have an empty classroom on the campus, and so when I took this position, I was thankful that it was kind of an open discussion about what I perceive the needs to be at Summertown High School. And so with myself, our board members, and our community kind of put our heads together to say, here's what we need at Summertown High School. And so I appreciate your investment into that project. Our cooling tower has been installed. That got us away from the geothermal system, and I think that's done a good thing, a good service to Summertown High School. We've not had near the issues we've had in cooling our campus. Our septic system upgrade is complete. They still have to put the fence up around it, but we've got our tank installed, and so that is pretty much completed. Our concrete pad has been completed for the main classroom addition. We plan, hopefully, in talking with the contractor today, brick walls will start to go up, brick will start to be laid on Monday, and so we're excited about that. They've started the pad addition behind what we call our CTE building, and so they've started that preparation for that concrete pad. Our back parking lot dirt work has started, so they've put a culvert in to give us some expansion on our much-needed parking situation at Summertown High School. And then we had a meeting last week. Our cafeteria project is slated to start right after spring break, so we will not have access to our cafeteria to go eat. So it's going to be an interesting 10 weeks of eating out of the classroom, but it'll be worthwhile when we get a renovated cafeteria that's been needed. Some miscellaneous campus projects that we've completed since I've been at the helm there. We painted our interior buildings this summer. It was much needed. It gave us a very clean, fresh look on the inside of our buildings. Our custodial staff worked all summer. Those 3 ladies did a fantastic job in doing that, and so you can tell a big difference when you walk into Summertown High School. We had some SHS logo murals painted that I thought added some aesthetics, and we're hopeful to add a few more of those. We have a greenhouse addition that we're excited about for our ag program. We anticipate that completion by February of 2022. I want to thank Ms. Watson and her dedication to getting that program in place and that addition, along with our carpentry and trades program. Mr. Joe Chapman and his students put that together, spent the summer working on that, and so I'm very thankful for his contribution to that. We added a welding program, which has been a hit. Excuse me. You know, there are students who don't get passionate about classroom studies, and so they need hands-on applications, and the welding program has met that need. I see students daily when I go down there and visit. The light bulb comes on when they're down there, and they're passionate, they're disciplined, they're engaged in what they're doing, and so I'm very excited about our welding program and thankful for, again, the investment from you guys to give us that. We've replaced our baseball visitor bleachers that were much needed. They were kind of pitiful, and so we've replaced those bleachers to give our visitors a better place to sit during baseball games. We've upgraded our softball scoreboard. We added basketball gym padding to our gym, which has been a very much needed safety component to our basketball gym. We also had our goal repaired and safety measures put in place there. And then our tennis court got a much needed resurfacing and painting, and our tennis team is excited to use that in the spring. The last thing I gave you guys, when you sit down and think about what Summertown High School needs, I put some items there. I know some of these are on your minds already and on some agendas. We need an upgraded security camera system badly, and I know that those plans are in place, and I'm thankful for that. We would also eventually like to add some more CTE program offerings. Again, I think we're in a time era where not every student's going to go to college. Not every student's going to go the university route. And so we need to invest in giving our students some skilled trades during their time in high school. And so just thinking off the cuff, we put down some ideas. Cosmetology, criminal justice, automotive would be a big one. HVAC repair, I know, is starting to become prevalent in high schools. And then engineering. Another wish list is some additional welding booths so we could increase our student capacity. Our football athletic facilities, we would like to see those be an emphasis of upgrade. We currently do not have bathrooms on site. We use porta-johns, and so I think in the last 7 or 8 years, we could have, in the investment that we've paid out in those porta-johns, we could have built a bathroom set, and so I would like to see that come to fruition, increase or better our playing surface there, etc. We had this idea to add a kiln addition to our art program, which would offer our students the chance to explore pottery and ceramics. We have a fantastic art teacher. She was SHS Teacher of the Year last year, Corey Lazarowitz. She does an unbelievable job, and she reaches so many students through her art program, and so we would like to give that addition to her. And then the last thing we put down there is upgrading our theater, projection, and sound system. We use that space for faculty meetings, for public gatherings, and so it would be nice to have a permanent sound system and projection system in place in there so we could give presentations. So with that, I will end our school report. I thank you for the ability to be here and to share with you what's going on at Summertown.
Anybody have any questions for Lane?
Crusoe,
Go ahead.
I'd like to tell the board a little story about this young man, with the exception of Mr. Daniels, Mr. Atkins, and myself. When he became principal at Summertown High School, he was basically presented a building plan. As far as I could tell, it was almost already decided. And it had a lot of the bells and whistles and, you know, the extra nice space. And this was his first year. And he had the, I don't know what the word is, maybe an old term would be gumption. He had the audacity to tell our director that that's not what he wanted. And with a little cooperation from above, we were able to have, 9 classrooms? And this is what Summertown really, really needed. And by his initiative, we do have that in the process. And you know, I think about that Kevin Costner movie, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And at Summertown, I think they are. So I want to commend him on the things that he's done and the things that he's proposing to be done at Summertown. And thank you very much, Lane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Moving on to personnel report, Mr. Atkins.
You have that information in front of you. I would like to just speak to the board about the Human Resources Department. We have 2 people in there that manage human resources, that deal with applications, background checks, a number of things. And all of that's handled professionally and done well. And on the list you have here tonight, a special thank you to Kathy Burks for her great work, and for the tenure presentation earlier to Mrs. Thompson. 2 people managing that and do a wonderful job with it. So I just wanted to recognize them and then present to you the personnel report.
Any questions? Moving on to C, Director's Update.
Stuff here, Mr. Chairman. There it is. I have 2 things. In the Director's Update, just a statement. Mr. Chairman, pursuant to established guidelines from the Tennessee Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Education, systems receiving ESSER funds, Lawrence County School System received 1, 2, and 3 of the ESSER funds. We are required to update our health and safety protocols every 6 months until 2023. Coordinated School Health, federal programs, school safety have updated that plan to reflect our efforts to keep schools open, address health concerns. We've conducted surveys, questionnaires with faculty, staff, parental engagement, and we've held informal meetings with parents sharing those plans and those ideas. We've had overwhelming support for our health and safety protocols and our management of COVID and the variants. So I present that to the board to let you know that we will be updating that. We feel like we've got a good plan in place and good things are happening. As we're in a surge of COVID, we have a plan in place and we're working that plan daily. Second part is the state of the system. And I believe that's in your packet as well. There's a number of things in there. I'm not going to read all of it, but I do want to point out a few highlights. 6,911 students are enrolled in the Lawrence County school system, 515 certified faculty in our schools, and that's, again, a testament to the great work of Human Resources. They've had nearly 200 encounters or interactions with folks interested in our school system since June. That's 2 people addressing that much inquiry, that much interest in our school system, and they're doing a great job. Our leadership is strong in the schools. You've heard from 2 principals here tonight, and you can tell their focus is on students. And when the focus is on students from the administrators, it trickles down to the classrooms, and that's important. A number of custodians or environmental services, the great work that they do to have our schools safe. Maintenance, technology, a number of folks, food service, bus drivers, all of those folks make our system what it is. They are the backbone of that to keep the doors open for our students. To say a few things about the board's commitment to our employees. I've asked around the region and throughout the state, and no one has offered an incentive to our board, or to our employees like this board did. Last June, a $1.7 million investment in our folks to say thank you for your work during COVID. From March of 2020 through June, the board invested that kind of money into our folks to say thank you for the great work. And again, I have not heard of any district who's done that for their employees, so thank you for that. Very proactive in offering the 10 COVID days for our faculties and staff members. Our technology investment of $3.4 million, box light panels in every classroom, and we continue to upgrade in those areas. Our PVA enrollment increased from 22 to 82. Many thanks to Mrs. Patty Franks for her work there. Building projects underway, 16 total new classrooms, 2 new cafeterias, increased restroom capacity, a new gymnasium that has taken place under the direction of this board. A Tier 2 driver program that was implemented this year for student transportation so that we were not canceling bus routes and putting parents at an inconvenience. Mr. Rogers and his staff came up with that idea, and it's worked very well. Of course, the new central office from the open house earlier, a positive relationship with county executive and commissioners, that partnership that we witnessed a few weeks ago. A phase 1 project of $1.8 million investment in our schools for curb appeal, fixing roofs, parking lots, restroom stalls. A number of things are taking place to show that we're not only an inside the classroom strong, but we also value education when people in the community see it from the curb. Overall, with the investments in Summertown, E.O. Kaufman, Loretta, and others, this board has invested $7.9 million this year for long-term projects. $7.9 million by this board invested into our community and our schools. I think that speaks volumes about your vision and your leadership. Our technology infrastructure from a year ago compared to the day is daylight and dark. Last year we were 1,800 Chromebooks short when we started school. Devices were outdated, they were breaking down. This year technology has 500 on standby, 500 extra on standby for our students. Many thanks to Mr. Hobbs and his folks. For our faculty, 50 extra devices. We've upgraded all of their devices, plus we have storage. Our summer school program operated by Mrs. Ridgway, very successful, and I would put it up against any program in the state, the way it's organized from her office to the men and women working that program each summer. We're very fortunate in Lawrence County. We'll offer that program again this summer. We're already working on those details. We expect it to be as strong, if not stronger, than last year. I mentioned earlier our Human Resources Department, nearly 200 interactions since June of 2021. That's unbelievable when you consider what they have to deal with each day. The demographics of Lawrence County are attractive. People want to work here, they want to live here, they want to be here. And we've had a number of folks leave other counties to come and be a part of Lawrence County's school system. They're positive. Our community is in a great location. It's positive for relocating, low crime, good schools, and affordable living. I present this to the board tonight to say thank you. Thank you to Chairman Crusoe, Vice Chairman Daniel, and the board. Your vision, support of new ideas, our trust of the central office, school leadership, and nearly 1,200 dedicated employees in the system, from bus drivers all the way up to the central office, east and west. We have nearly 1,200 people that do a wonderful job. They make a difference in the life of a child each and every day, and we remind them of that every Friday. Your involvement with our building plan, your support, your guidance there, again, is second to none. Our academic footprint is large and it's successful thanks to Dr. Glass and the teachers in the buildings and the great work that they're doing. So I say to you, Mr. Chairman, the state of our system is good, but we're not going to be satisfied with it. We're not going to settle. We're going to keep moving forward. Very proud of our faculty, staff, students, and hope that we're making Lawrence County residents proud of the education system. Thank you, sir.
And I think it's a testament to what this letter says right here. And then to Mr. Atkins, you're doing a fantastic job. And I think this board and myself doesn't regret one bit for letting you come on board and be the director of our schools, and I thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the state of the system report? Very well. Moving on to D was executive committee. We had done one as overnight trips, and I approved that, and I think that's been taken place.
Yes.
Moving on to E, transportation update.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd asked Mr. Rogers to come and speak about a couple of things that I've notified the board in the weekly update, and he's going to present that along with special guests from the bus garage as well.
So Mr. Atkins mentioned our Tier 2 program that we have. Like all counties statewide, we're struggling with having enough bus drivers. At the beginning of the year, we were having to cancel several routes. So, Mr. Atkins and I, the bus garage staff and I, we discussed what can we do? How can we do this? And, so what we had come up with is a Tier 2 driver. So we have 6 Tier 2 drivers, and, they have signed a contract, and they're compensated just a little bit more, but at any point in time, they have to drive a second route when we cannot fill it with a sub. So as of September 9th, we have ran over 268 double routes. Now, what this means is that, they'll finish their regular route first, and then they'll go back to school and pick up another set of kids and take them home. Now, we try our best to communicate with parents, schools. We have a spreadsheet that I post every morning or try to do it the day before, of what routes that we know are going to be out, so the schools can prepare. We can try to communicate that as best we can with parents. It's working really, really well for us right now. Sometimes kids get home a little later than normal, but they get home on a bus, and I think I feel that the parents really appreciate that. So I wanted to thank Mr. Atkins and the board for allowing us to do that Tier 2 program. I think it's working really, really well. The next thing I want to talk about is, getting your CDL license to drive a school bus is difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. It's daunting for us to go and, get your written test, pass it, and then have to go out of county to do the driving test. So this is a project that we started 2 years ago, and right before COVID hit. We wanted to have our own tester here in Lawrence County, so that we're kind of a one-stop shop now. So very, very quickly, as soon as we can get some things worked out, Mr. Eric Lopp is now federally certified as a CDL driving tester. So basically what that means is we have to send our folks to do their written test in Columbia or Fayetteville or any driving center. But as far as them having to go out of town now to get their driving test, we'll be able to do that here now. So I'll let Eric talk just a few minutes about what all that entails.
So basically, like Josh was saying, prior to me attending the school back at the 1st of December, we would have to send our folks to Columbia. A gentleman from Robertson County, which is the counterpart to our Josh, he would come down, and the school system, we would pay him $75 to test our folks. We were running a bus up there, and it was typically on a Saturday or a Sunday. That was the only days that he would test. So, that meant someone having to take time out of their weekend to carry these folks up, wear and tear on the bus, $75 to get these folks tested. So we came up with this plan back before COVID. We wanted our own examiner here in Lawrence County. COVID kind of helped us out because the state lost several examiners in the process due to retirement, or just did not want to go back to dealing with the public. So they were ecstatic and reached out to us rather quickly and said, you need to come to the December class because we need more examiners. So what this will do for us, we're going to save on some wear and tear on our bus that we have to test our new folks in. We're going to save on the $75 because we'll no longer have to pay that fee to me since I am an employee of the school system. And one of the biggest achievements I think this is going to be for Lawrence County, I know for myself when I obtained my CDLs years ago, you're really nervous. Anybody that takes a test, you know it's nerve-wracking, but when you have to take a CDL test with a stranger you've never met, and you're driving down the road and you're trying not to make any mistakes, because you want those licenses, it can be very nerve-wracking. So I feel, I've been with the system for several years now. Most people within the school system know me, whether it be good or bad, but either way, everybody knows me in the school system, and Mr. Atkins and Mr. Rogers and myself, we feel like just a friendly face, a familiar face will help those that may not be getting their license to drive a school bus because they are nervous. So, you know, this is going to be good. We're going to hopefully reach out to a lot of our staff, our teachers, and try to bring them on board as bus drivers as well to help us with our shortage. There is also another plus side to this, and Mr. Atkins and myself and Mr. Rogers have spoke of it. I can be what they consider an outside third-party tester. So basically what that means is I will not only be able to test our folks, I can test Giles County folks, Wayne County, Murray County, anywhere. I can test anybody from the state of Tennessee. So with that being said, we have the opportunity to get that $75 from those folks to have me test their new drivers. We can also charge some other fees. I won't go into that right now, but there are some other fees that we will, be able to charge to test these outside folks. So we have the opportunity to, instead of spending money, we have the opportunity to bring some money back into the system. So basically that's in a nutshell of my new role. It's definitely a whole lot more paperwork for me, a whole lot more responsibility, but I'm looking forward to it. And if any of you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question. We have a testing course set up or planned?
Yes, sir, we sure do. That was actually part of the prerequisites to get into the program. The testing site for right now, our skills pad, as we call it, will actually be in the side parking lot here of the board. So basically, the state will come down. That was the details that Mr. Rogers was saying we have to, get finished first. Whether or not has not worked in our favor, but the state will come down and they will actually measure out and set up the course. And we purchased traffic cones. And, we'll set these traffic cones up, and each time we do a test, and then they'll just be removed and the parking lot will be back the way it was. It's not like the parking lot will be shut down, for any length of time other than the time that I would be testing someone to obtain their license.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the testing was done on Saturday and Sunday. If that testing was done here, would it have to be on Saturday or Sunday, or could it be?
No, sir, it does not. Really, the Saturday and Sunday comes into, especially with the school system, like other school systems, they can't really. A CDL permit holder, I'm not sure if all of you are aware, but a CDL permit holder has to have a fully licensed driver to come with them. They can't drive by themselves yet. So if, say, Giles County, they need a new hiree tested, well, their trainer, he also drives a school bus, so he's going to have to, either I would have to test this new person in between their routes, or he would have to skip work, and therefore that would put more pressure on them, as well, by that driver being out. So that's really where the Saturday and Sunday comes in, is for those folks, so they don't have to worry about not running a bus route. Yes, sir.
So, in our plans, our game plan, would Lawrence County School System provide a bus for, I'm thinking for outside counties, and have we put together a game plan on the fees that we're gonna charge to where they don't have to have, somebody's trying to get a CDL, again, they have, if they provide their own bus, somebody's got to drive it over here to them, but if we provide it for them, and we charge more for your testing, and that way that person doesn't have to have an escort for their system,
One thing with this program is, as Mr. Rogers mentioned, this is a federal state program. So with it being federal, the federal commercial vehicle folks got together and they wrote a set of standards. So across the board, there is a set amount that we are allowed to charge for whatever it may be. Our plans were never to, I guess you would say, rent a bus out to these outside folks. And really that goes back to, they have been training on their bus. Their bus may not be like, Giles County, they don't run the same type buses that we do. So their folks have been training on that bus. So they're familiar with where everything is, so they're going to bring their own bus. But to answer your question, yes, sir, we could charge a fee to rent one of our buses to those folks. But honestly, I don't think we want to get into that because of, personally, I wouldn't want to get into that just due to the insurance factors. But yes, sir, we could do that if that was something that the board said, hey, we want to offer this.
And I don't really think that we need to put that on ourselves because that just puts more wear and tear on our buses.
Any other?
I have just a simple question. So, once people they go to Columbia, take the test, all that stuff, you're going to be able to do the pre-trip and the driving part of it to give them a passenger endorsement, correct?
We will start training it. As he is now a tester, he cannot train. So it will be somebody like.
I'm not.
No,
I'm just saying, if you go to Columbia, take your test, and
Yeah.
all you have left to do is the pre-trip
Correct.
and the driving.
The skills portion of the test,
Right.
yes, sir. I am certified now
Okay.
to do the skills
So that's
portion of the test.
basically what we're doing. You're going to be able to do that test so that they can get the passenger endorsement.
And it's really going to help us too because the DMV in Columbia, they just now hired a new CDL examiner, and they've only got one. And you know how difficult it is to get in at a state facility it could be months.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, like with our folks, typically when I was trained, I was doing the training, but like Josh said, since I am the examiner now, I can no longer do the training because it's conflict of interest. Typically 6 weeks. It takes about 6 weeks to take an individual that has never had a commercial driver's license to, as long as they focus and work like they should, 6 weeks, and we could have a new driver on the road. Now, there are some new standards coming into effect February the 7th, but it's really not going to slow us down a whole lot. It may add an extra week to that 6 weeks, but that's a whole lot shorter than calling the state today and 4 months later you get to go take your skills test. Because within that 4 months, that person's probably found another job and they're going to say bye.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Moving on, PBA update.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted just to give you an update in the state of the system. Our PVA enrollment as of today, I believe, was 82 students. We're up 60 students from last year. Mrs. Franks is already working on the testing that will need to take place for those students in May. She's working on that now in January, and we're developing a plan for that. But PVA is enjoying success. We continue to recruit homeschool students with a proven homeschool record. We emphasize that daily. We are not interested in cherry-picking students from other public schools. That's not what we're about with PVA. We're seeking homeschool students, and we have a good recruiting agency, and we're bringing in students into that program and having some success.
Any questions regarding PVA update? Very well. Moving on to G, SRO update. I don't know if the sheriff's here. Do you have an update or anybody?
I believe that's me. I apologize, Mr. Tucker. The board at the last meeting, the topic came up about an SRO being placed at Lawrence County High School. I think that was prior discussion before I joined. I have spoken with Sheriff Myers, and he is going to speak with Mr. Williams and see what was in the budget. He's going to look back and see what that conversation was about. He is fully supportive of having an SRO at Lawrence County High School who would serve as a sub throughout the county. So if there's not a need for that sub, he would be at Lawrence County High School. But if another SRO is out, medical treatments, doctor's appointments, day off, whatever, that person would go to that school. So they would float throughout every school in Lawrence County, but when they're not needed, they're stationed at Lawrence County High School. The difficulty with this is going to be finding someone. The sheriff now has a difficult time locating officers to work in Lawrence County and remain in Lawrence County. I know they've made some efforts to increase the pay, but that is an ongoing discussion with the sheriff that I will have, and I will update the board at a later time.
Any questions regarding SROs? Moving on to safety update. Mr. Tucker, thank you.
All right, I'm going to give you an update about our safety money and grant money that we spend and we receive from the state each year. Each public school in Tennessee is required to conduct annually school safety assessments in order to apply for safety grant funding, and we do this every year. Our SROs, along with our school principal, they receive some training, and then they actually complete the assessment. This is one component that's required to receive funding, any safety grant funding from the state. And from that, we learn a lot about each individual site, each individual school. They look at things such as their building and grounds, access, entry points, lighting, visitor screening, drill procedures. They look at a wealth of different things, all centered around safety. It's pretty thorough. It takes some time to complete each year. And from these assessments, along with input from our principals, we also meet, Mr. Atkins, myself, we've met with SROs. We get their input about our safety needs for each of our schools. We apply for the safety grant funding after we complete all the requirements. We put in there what we would spend the money on. We have a safety committee that's made up of school principals, SROs, central office personnel. We meet to review these safety assessments that's completed, and then from that we compile a list and we submit that to the state for funding for some grant money. We received this year approximately $149,000 in safety grant money from the state. And I want to talk to you about what our safety committee and our input from our administrators and principals said we needed to spend that money on. Now there's a few things of that $149,000 that comes out pretty quickly. That pretty much every year we have some things that we take out of that before we can spend it on the needs that are requested or asked or identified through our assessments. A couple of those things that come out, we send the SROs to training, the SRO conference, which is required, so we take that money out of safety grant funding from this grant. We also take out we have a couple of systems that's in place. Our IdentiKid system, if you've ever been to the schools and they've screened you and you have to run your license, we take that program out of safety grant funding. There's another program that we use, it's called the Navigate system. It's where we house all of our drill logs that are required by the state. It's also where each school has to put in their safety plans. That's something that's also a requirement to get any of this grant money, is each school has to have a safety plan. So those things come out of that money first, those programs, the SRO trip, and then we see what we really have to work with. And we took all of that out this year. We had approximately 120,000, a little over 120,000 left to spend on safety. And so we went to our safety committee, and from the input from these assessments that our administrators, input from SROs, they identified the things that they think are the most needed safety concerns in the building. And it's overwhelming for the past few years that we need an updated security camera system in our schools. That has been at the top of the list from our SROs, from our principals, from everybody, that we've got to have an updated security camera system in our buildings. And so that's where we're going to, we turned that into our safety grant to the state, is where we want to spend the bulk of this money, most of it. There's a few other things that we also are going to address, and we're trying to continue to address. We put up some fencing at a few of our buildings. New Prospect, South Lawrence, got some fencing. We still have some fencing in a few other places to put up around playgrounds, and some needs around some drives and roads that we want to address that with some money. But the bulk of it we want to spend on the security, the camera system. So our camera system, to upgrade it, is very expensive. It's more than $120,000. And so for a few years I've been trying to figure out how we're going to come up with this money. And so our plan was originally to just do it a school at a time. This year, or last school year, we finished our secure entrances where you access control with badges. That took several years to complete in all of our buildings, so that our employees now, they swap a badge instead of having a key to get into the exterior doors. That was very expensive, and we used safety grant funding for years to get that done. Well, we finished that last year. So now we have this larger pot of money of safety grant to go toward the cameras. We can do the same and do it at school at a time, but we have on the agenda tonight, we have, later on, you'll see about camera system, we have a price to go to a new camera system, and we've come up with some other funding in addition to the safety grant that can cover the cost to go to an entirely new system. It's an entirely new camera system, operating system, that will be more user-friendly, easier to use, but it's also servers in each building. And these servers, it's like a home security system that records. These are what the servers are. In a school system, you can imagine when you have 60 or 70 cameras, you have to have a pretty large server to house all that video for a month to go back. And so we have to upgrade not only our operating system, but we have to upgrade our servers to make it so that you can readily access a month's worth of video that's been stored. So that's what, we'll get to that a little bit later, but that's what we want to spend our safety grant money on, is this new camera system. And that will take the bulk of our safety money this year, the $120,000 that we have left over. You have any questions about that funding or anything else?
I do. Mr. Tucker, you mentioned before we start spending any money out of the grant money that we receive, I believe you threw out the amount of $149,000 that we've got in the grant. And so basically we're spending, if I did my math right, about $30,000 comes out of that off the top.
Yes, sir.
One of those things I understood you to say was some training. We're sending our SROs to training.
Yes, sir.
And that falls on the school system budget instead of sheriff department budget?
Yes, sir. We have, since I've been in this position, the school system has paid, even after the county government took over the paying SRO salary, we have maintained paying for their annual week-long training that's required to be an SRO. We've paid for that and continue to do so.
Mr. Atkins, can I ask that you have a conversation with the sheriff and county executive as to, I feel like this ought to be a sheriff's department budget item and not a school system budget item. I mean, I'm in favor, we'll make sure they get paid and get sent to their training and conference, but I just don't feel like that belongs on Lawrence County school system. Also, I found it, I've been approached a couple of times by different SROs, and I've actually had a conversation with Officer Dorning, and, you know, they made mention and brought to my attention several things, and I talked to both you and Mr. Atkins both, and I found it surprising that when I approached you, Mr. Tucker, and Mr. Atkins, about these safety issues or concerns from our SROs, you, like me, you was just as surprised as I was to hear it for the first time. For me, as I was just surprised to hear it from the SRO for the first time. You talk about a safety committee meeting, and you know, we were talking about barricades. An SRO was asking for barricades because the driveway at Summertown Elementary School, person's got, when you come into the new side road that we have, it's straight access to a kid's playground. And there's nothing to stop a vehicle from running outside of the road and running into a kid's playground when they're, but my concern, a couple of concerns are, this safety committee, how long is it taking to get concerns to the school board? Because I feel like I can speak on behalf of all the school board. Safety is our #1 concern. And if you bring us a safety concern, a desire, a wish, certainly a safety need, I believe wholeheartedly that this school board is going to get behind it. We're going to find funding to get whatever needs to be had to make sure our kids and schools are safe. So I don't have a whole lot of confidence that this committee is going through the right channels, going through at the speed that it needs to be going through, and getting to the right people so we can make sure that our schools are safe.
I can address a little bit of that. We, like I said, Mr. Atkins, I know, has met with SROs. I've met with SROs. We've had 2 meetings with them. We have SROs that are on the committee. We have our assessment that is, of course, done at the beginning of the year. I also send out to principals, what are your greatest safety needs? I sent out before this meeting, I sent out something to SROs, list your safety. I did that just 2 weeks ago. I think you're talking about the ballards, is what they're called, the posts. They're called ballards. As soon as we were made aware, they've already been ordered. They've been received.
Exactly.
They have to be installed now, but they've been.
And that was my concern is.
Right. We can't do anything unless we know about it.
Exactly. So the committee or the communication, let's make sure that we have, and Officer Dorning, make sure that that everybody knows the proper procedure, and that let's make sure that everybody's communicating like they want to communicate, because everybody in this room, everybody in this entire system, safety is #1. And as far as they need, we're going to make sure they mention communication.
Sure.
Being able to have good radio systems or whatever, I don't know what all, but safety is a priority, and it always has been and always will be.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, you know, when I get asked out in the community, and especially when I get asked by an SRO, why can't we get this and that and the other, you know, the question is we can. We just got to know about it.
What I would say, Mr. Daniel, is I wouldn't categorize that it's a lack of communication or we're not involved with them. There's a opportunity every week for SROs in this county to speak directly to me, see me. When I go visit schools, I go to the SROs. So when this came up, they've never said anything to us about that. I think what we want to happen is the concerns of the SROs be shared with Lieutenant Dorning. He's over them, and he brings the safety concerns to us. And I think we have started that now to get that information, because each SRO will have something that they want done, and it's not getting communicated to the proper channel. So the SROs, we've got to get them communicating through this committee, because I think there's 4 SROs on the safety committee. So there's representation there. We just got to streamline that need, that communication.
Okay, thank you very much.
And
Lieutenant Dorning, y'all do a great job, and I appreciate it very much.
And to piggyback what John is saying, it's not only relies on the school system to purchase this, and I think the sheriff also needs to look at his budget as well to support the SRO officers, and both in conjunction with with him and the school board. We do need a lot. And since Sergeant Dorning's name was thrown out there several times during this, do you have anything to add since you are here? And I thank you for being here today.
I would just like to say that, COVID was a big part of the lack of communication. We had meetings scheduled, we had things scheduled, and COVID kind of split those things up. However, we have made some changes, and there's some things that are going to happen pretty soon. So we should have everything in order to get what you're talking about in line. The other thing, you were talking about the money. The Sheriff's Department budget, I can say, is pretty small, and we appreciate you all doing what you do for us and the continued support. It might be one of those things where we might not get to 10 if we change around. And if you ask around, a lot of the school systems, very many of them pay for those because it's pretty much that way. So we thank you for your continued support, and we'll look to do things, whatever we need to do.
Can I follow up and say, by no means was I trying to point any fingers or saying anybody had failed. I just saw something that needed improving and just wanted to make sure that it was improved. And by no means would I ever advocate you guys not getting the training. I support that 100%, and we'll fight on this board to make sure that you guys get the training that you need.
And I believe that training will continue to happen either by us fitting the bill or the Sheriff's Department fitting the bill. And every year, I think as a board, we are invited to that training just to see how it goes. We're not part of SROs, but it is a pretty cool training that they go through. So, if you are invited, it's pretty neat to see. So moving on to item number I, LCEA.
Good evening. I just want to say a few brief things. The TEA President, Beth Brown, has wanted me to communicate out to everybody that they are planning to have civication this year, where teachers and, I know board members have went and spoken to your legislators, and if you're not wanting to go in person, you don't want to do the face-to-face, they're trying to come up with other ways that they could do that with technology so that you can speak to them about issues in your district. We were also talking about the new school funding proposal, and she is on one of the 18 subcommittees, and they said that possibly that could go to the General Assembly in late January, and they had several recommendations that they had shared, and one of the main concerns that she shared with us was that they didn't want any funding, to go down that you were already receiving through the BEP, and which that's common sense anyway. But they're making several recommendations, and that will go to the steering committee, and then it will go on to the General Assembly. But she said hopefully something will be done with the BEP soon.
Any questions? Very good, thank you. Moving on to Tennessee Legislative Network. Mr. Paul came in a little bit later. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Plant?
No, I don't know anything that's bursting at the seams. There has been some movement on new substitution of the BEP plant. I don't know where it's going. I know there have been some committee meetings in Nashville. I honestly don't know how many educators have been involved in that. As best I can see, it's mostly politicians. So I don't know where that's going to go. The meeting that I mentioned to you last time we were here was canceled because of lack of interest. I signed up for it, and one or two of you contacted me about it, but by the next day I got an email that said that there wasn't enough interest, so they canceled the meeting. So anyway, that does not, that kind of bothers me that the public, the lay public, and also educators, administrators are not sufficiently eager to get involved at this point. I'd like to see more. teachers and administrators and school board members, if necessary, to kind of push them into the process. If we're not careful, it's going to be like gerrymandering that typically goes on in the district. You just got to take what you get.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Moving on to K, TSBA Legislative and Legal Institute. That will be in February the 14th and 15th. Mr. Atkins, you have anything to add on that?
No, sir. I believe I'm scheduled to attend that, so I will report back to the board as I did last summer when some of that information was released and make you aware of that.
Are there any questions for Mr. Atkins on that issue? Very well, moving on to items for consideration, discussion and action. Under personnel items, I believe we did number A already, and that was passed unanimously. And going forward on number B, request, Loretta High School request to pay a non-faculty softball coach.
Move we approve.
Second.
I got a second to approve, I got a motion to approve and a second on the floor. Are there any questions or concerns?
Mr. Crusoe,
Go ahead.
is this prospective coach an employee of Lawrence County School System?
Go ahead.
No, sir. No. This employee works in the capacity pursuant to the policy, and I've looked at these policies. All the way back to 2009, there is a statement for a supplement to be earned, the following conditions must be met, and there's 1, 2, 3 that are typically met by school employees in that role. The fourth one was added, persons must be certified employees of the Lawrence County Schools System or working in the same capacity with LCSS. And this person is not employed, but is working in the same capacity. They're there before school in the mornings with supervisory roles, and then they're in the afternoon. So their day is spent at the school. And I think that's what the policy going back to 2009 and again around 2013 and 13, and currently it speaks to that or in the capacity is what we were looking at, not an employee of the system.
John? Oh, I'm sorry, will you finish? Go ahead.
As you know, Mr. Atkins, it is the responsibility of the principals to assign, first academically, a teacher is hired as a teacher first. And then when they're hired, it is the responsibility of the principal, if he so chooses, to assign different jobs, I guess is the simplest way to put it. 3, I guess the word splitting hairs maybe on this one. 3 weeks ago, we turned down a classified as a volunteer coach, and who is beyond, has impeccable character. Not that it matters, but he won 4 state championships. He was nominated for Coach of the Year. Well, he was Coach of the Year in the district and region, and is in competition for state. Now, you know, I've always felt like it was important that we had school employees working with kids. And I understand that this one may be the exception, but so is the gentleman that we turned down 4 weeks ago. I would ask that Mr. Atkins research this, see if he can come up with some kind of compromise. If it's just simply a matter of semantics on this particular one, we're losing out on a person who is a good Christian role model for those kids that we turned down 4 weeks ago. So I would ask that Mr. Atkins and whoever he deems necessary come up with us a proposal and a recommendation for next month.
So
if this was a yes vote tonight, then we need to seriously look at changing our minds on the vote we took 4 weeks ago.
I agree wholeheartedly. John, did you have a comment?
Yeah, it's just the same thing that Mr. Mabry is saying. I don't remember what board meeting it was, but this board, as a whole, there were a few votes for yes in support of a volunteer coach to receive the supplement set aside, but the yes votes were outvoted by the no votes, and we did not pay that volunteer coach. And then now, a few months later, we have it on the floor again, and I don't know what the outcome of the vote would be tonight, if it was a yes or no, if we had to vote tonight. But I don't know how we're going to vote no 3 months ago and then turn around this month and vote yes for the same request. And Mr. Atkins just stated that our policy states that a volunteer can be paid. I will echo what Mr. Mabry says, and I would say that it's splitting hairs, how you define in the same capacity, capacity of a teacher. I mean, the fact of the matter is, this volunteer is not an employee of the school system, neither was the volunteer that we requested, that Summertown High School requested just a few months ago. So we've got to come together and make a decision on this and stand behind it as a board and quit waffling on it or having to discuss it every so often. Let's make a decision, let's put it to bed.
I agree wholeheartedly, but we do have a policy in place, and when we do ask Mr. Atkins if this volunteer is a part of this school or part of the employee, he did say he was, correct?
He is not an employee.
Oh,
He's not an employee of the school system, no.
Okay. My apologies. Anybody else any questions regarding this issue? And I do have the same sentiment. If we turn down one and the next 2-3 months allow the other one, that just, that, pardon the pun, but we got flip-flops on. So, we need to really consider this hard, but we will take a vote on it. So please, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I got a question. So the issue here is just the pay, not keeping them from coaching or stopping, it's just paying them, that's the issue?
Yes, sir.
Volunteer coach, right?
Yes, yes.
Paying them the supplement that is set aside for that position. Can I ask, would Mr. Davis consider amending his motion to go back and capture the one that we denied 3 months ago?
I don't see it, me changing my motion having anything to do with that. That can be put on the agenda for next
time. That's correct. And then each situation can come up for next month, and if he wants to go back and put his name back on for getting paid, he's can do that as well. Is that correct?
Okay, well then can I request, Mr. Atkins, that you revisit and let's put that that previous request back on next month's agenda.
Yes, sir. I'll have Mrs. Meffin to look back and see when we brought that up. I think it was.
It's been a few months ago.
October, November.
Do you remember? Yeah. October, November.
We'll trace that and we'll get the vote tally and we'll put something together. So Dr. Mabry asked me to research, come up with a compromise. I will do that, and I'll also reach out to some neighboring districts and see what they might be doing in this situation, be prepared to present something to the board next month.
I'll take one more question from Mr. Mabry. Go ahead.
Mr. Crusoe, can we postpone this, table it till next month, and have both motions voted on?
Well, we'll have,
the same meeting?
The motion has to be rescinded in the second, and then we can do that for,
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I'm not recalling what you're talking about, somebody not being approved for pay, but if I'm understanding what you read in the policy, one of these people not on campus except the coach.
Yes, sir.
One of these people's on campus all day, just like all other employees, but not compensated for it or an employee of ours, and helps with coaching. Is that the difference in the two?
That's the difference in the two. The or statement separates them.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that I did understand there is a difference by the or there. And that's what I was thinking it was, but.
Please call roll.
Okay. Mr. Caruso?
No.
Daniel?
I'm gonna vote yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yes.
Mr. Hartsfield?
Yes.
Mr. Mabry?
Yes.
Mr. Neidert?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion
One no.
passed. Carry on to item number C, position for long-term leave. Mr. Atkins?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I shared this information with the board in the weekly update. With the shortage of substitute teachers and available teachers in our area and throughout the state and even nationwide, we have some maternity leaves that are coming up, and we understand that we may not be able to fill those spots with a certified teacher, and we believe that it's in our best interest to find a certified teacher and put in those classes and not a substitute. And we have a lady who's working with us, who wants to remain in Lawrence County, enjoys Lawrence County. Mrs. Thompson has worked with her, and it is a position that is neutral as far as cost. We're using the dollars that from open positions that we have now. We're not asking the board for any more money. That money is already there. The benefits package is already there. We're just wanting to attach that to this new position, which we're going to use as a full-time substitute teacher. Mrs. Thompson has arranged for her to work every day until the end of the school year as far as having a need for her to work in the system. It's not like we're hiring someone, putting someone in, and then going to find the work. The work is there. So I'd ask the board to approve that, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion on the floor and a second. Any questions, comments? Please call roll.
Mr. Crusoe?
Aye.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yes.
Mr. Hartsfield?
Yes.
Mr. Mabry? Mr. Neidert?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item number 4, budget item for consideration. A, purchase of 2 buses.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I believe all of these are federal funds or ESSER dollars, and even item D on the camera system, we have that funded through some generous benefactors and some local foundations. So all of the items before you, A through E, are cost neutral to the school system.
If I can, I move we approve A through E, all in a group.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second to approve A, B, C, D, and E through ESSER funds. Are there any questions or comments? Please call roll.
Mr. Crusoe?
Aye.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dryden?
Yes.
Mr. Hartsfield?
Yes.
Mr. Mabry? Mr. Neidert?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item number 5, the policies. Under A, B, and C, can I get a motion to approve all 3?
Move we approve.
I got a motion
Second.
to approve in a second. Are there any questions regarding these policies? Has everybody had the chance to look at them? Very well. That a motion, all certificates by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. A, B, and C is passed. Moving on to item number 6, other items for consideration. The school calendar for 22-23.
Mr. Chairman, we worked on this for several months. Mrs. Cope and Mrs. Truitt in Student Services have done a wonderful job of putting this together. I've shared it several times with the board. We also sent it out countywide. We asked for input. We had votes. We had surveys. We had follow-up questions to some of the concerns that the faculty and staff members presented to us, and we addressed those. We had 438 folks have a follow-up question and a response initiated, and the first time this went out, 325 of our employees had a say in it, and it stayed open or available for comment for nearly a month. So we feel really strong that this, or feeling good about this being a strong academic calendar for next school year.
Can I get a motion?
Move we approve.
Got a motion to approve. Do I have a
Second.
second? We have a motion to approve in a second. Are there any questions or concerns
I
about
have
the
a
calendar?
question, and I appreciate your statements, Mr. Atkins, but just for clarification, I want to make sure every faculty member, staff member in Lawrence County School System has seen this calendar proposal and had the opportunity to have given feedback. Is that a correct statement?
I don't know if they have seen it. I don't know if they opened the email that was sent, but it was
But
sent.
they were provided
Yes,
the
they-
means to see it and
Yes.
give feedback to.
Yeah, they were given the opportunity to vote for an A or B calendar and to also have input and then follow-up questions about fall break, spring break, Christmas breaks, things like that.
So every employee in our system.
If they have an email address, and it's in
Okay,
there.
Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Does the LCE have any questions regarding the calendar? Are y'all good with all that?
We are, sir, and
Okay.
one of the LCA members is also on the calendar committee.
Good, good.
And they met before Mr. Atkins presented to us tonight.
Very good, thank you. I got a motion to approve in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The calendar is now in approval. Going on with B, spring sports schedule. Mr. Atkins?
I believe that's Mrs. Cope just presenting to you the
Mrs. Cope,
athletic
sorry.
schedules for the spring. She's here to answer any questions you may have. Now, we understand that some of these games, there's going to be weather issues, there may be COVID, so the dates on these schedules may change due to circumstances, but this is the plan to have these approved by you.
Move we approve. Second.
I've got a motion on the floor to approve, motion to approve. Do I have a second? Mr. Cope, Ms. Cope, do you have anything to add or any questions regarding? Okay. All in favor, significant by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Spring sports schedule is in effect. Going on to C, Energy Efficient School Initiative Agreement.
Mr. Chairman, this is relating to South Lawrence Elementary School and Lawrenceburg Public and the system's initial agreement with geothermal. We reviewed the contract. We had Mr. Plant review the contract. If you recall, the geothermal program, that we brought it up in the fall, if you don't recall, it was if we wanted to replace geothermal, they would give us, I think, $200,000 grant. It was going to cost the system an additional $370,000. And so we got Mr. Brown involved, Mr. Jones involved, and we decided that it's cost beneficial for us to invest some money and not use the grant. I think we were coming in under $200,000 to do two schools, Lawrenceburg Public and South Lawrence, with traditional HVACs that are more durable, reliable, easier to maintain for our guys. The geothermal system at those two schools has not functioned properly. I shared that with Mr. Plant. He reviewed the contract and believes that we fulfilled initially what we were asked to do. We fulfilled that. And now that we have fulfilled that and we're seeing that it's not working, we have the right to decline the $200,000 and go our own route with our own HVAC systems at a much, much cheaper rate. It would, like I said, it's $370,000 if we stay with geothermal, and we're probably under $200,000, if maybe a $150,000 if we do it ourselves. And long term, it's beneficial to us.
Move to approve.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor to approve. I got a second. Are there any questions for Mr. Atkins? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Our next item on the agenda is attorney-client session. At this time, we would adjourn to another meeting room that's more private for Mr. Plant and the board to discuss the issue. If we would, please follow Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Excuse me?
Second.
But it's on the agenda, so if we do that, would we have to make another meeting for it? Okay, so, okay, well, I agree then. So I got a motion on the floor to approve. Before we do that, our next board meeting will be February 17th at 5 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion approved, meeting's adjourned.